Wannabe is back for this national championship breakdown. One big 30% of you that have not smashed the absolute crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out. More awesome content. We're going to be looking at the Switzerland national breakdown here. And there is a lot to unpack for this. Now, Cash Tier was your most dominant deck in the room. Wait, nobody's surprised about that? Okay, moving along. 4 super heavy in Top Cut. Wait, you're not surprised about that either. Let me give you something that can be pretty surprising. We have Purely back at it again. Purely has really been struggling out here. I assume once we get a metagame shift out here, we will see Purely kind of wake back up and do its thing. But I think for now, with how everything is kind of struggling in terms of, you know, your metagame, we'll probably see that shift. Now, we also had 2 Rikka Sun Avalon decks out here. I did not necessarily expect to see that. Rikka Sun Avalon feels like it has just been a absolute struggle bus out here. Like, this deck feels like it has had so many issues trying to get the chance to establish and play a role in the active metagame. But finally, it looks like you got a chance to shine. We also only had 1 MathMech deck, and oh boy, MathMech has just been falling out of the format. It has not been. If you're a MathMech player, you are not having a good time in this format. It has really proven to me like how crazy that it is out here, seeing, you know, some of these former strong competitors just falling off. And then of course we had Labyrinth, which actually I believe ended up winning this event, which really says something. Actually, I'm grinding through all of that metagame. The deck actually pulled it off. And then we had an Eldritch deck bringing up the rear here as well. That seems like a pretty good breakdown to me. Let's pass it on over to deck list here. All right, winning our event here was a Wannabe with our Labyrinth package. Now remember, the B during the end phase, send it from hand to field to graveyard. Execute cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of your opponent's unused spell and trap cards. And you get set a trap card, and then it goes to the graveyard during the next end phase. But that's fine because we have many good cards that we're going to want to toggle for off of that. I mean, getting a Floodgate off of, you know, the B seems pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of good things you can do with this. I also see that we've only opted to play 2 copies of the Green Servant, which I think is fine. I have seen builds that do want to opt for, you know, slightly more copies, but okay, we're playing just Triple Lady with one of the mini one, and then we have some Lava Golems here as interruptible hand traps. I mean, outside of that, deck feels pretty standard, honestly. Not a lot of cool little tech choices you can really push for this deck. Next up here we have Purely. I see that we are playing our Shadal package in this deck so that we can do our thing. We're also playing the Where Art Thou in this deck. We have seen Where Art Thou actually show up in a few of the other builds, but it really didn't seem like it was a major stick around. And to actually see it, you know, showing up in this build, okay. And then of course we have some Thrust to toggle into our talents. And we're just main decking 1 copy of Purely Leap. I think outside of those little things, list feels incredibly fun. I mean, you're citing a lot more hand trap coverage, so you can cover your bases. I see that we are taking way more advantage of Gamma here. That way we can kind of cover our bases and make sure that we can actually play the game. I mean, your opponent tries to stop one of the resolution of these cards before like something touches down, you're able to chain Gamma, you're going to be in a disgustingly good position. Next up here is Cash Tira and Friends. Once again, we see Shifter and Droll and Lockbird here, our 2 favorite friends in the whole wide world. And we are maximizing on triple Thrust here with a split pathway of being able to go toggle for the talents or be able to pull for a dimensional barrier in here as well. I also see that we're playing triple Nightmare Corruptor Ibli with the standard Owl Mirage. We're not dedicating Lingaribo to this. We're not worried about any sort of mirror matches that might be actually coming out of this. Outside of that, I mean, see another relatively standard build here. You don't get a lot of I guess you don't really get a lot of creativity anymore with this deck. I mean, like, this and, like, the splash of Dimensional Barrier here is really good. I mean, you also can board in the other evenly if you really want to. Next up here, we have our Mathmech OTK machine. And yes, we are sporting off the Saki Thomas. This was one of the things I was most excited about out of Cyberstorm Access, was we could see that Spirit package actually kind of fall into place with this deck here for, you know, additional level 4s that you can go ahead and kind of toggle with. But we haven't really seen this stick around too much, and there hasn't been a lot of, like, Aratama either. But the fact that we are seeing this here, I think, is incredibly good. And we are playing the Neo Tempest Terahertz Dragon down here. We are playing just Equation. We're not, Equation Superfactorial. Induction, I think, has long been lost to the chasm of time. Like, players don't even really care about it too much anymore. Like, the deck just is able to turbo through everything else at this stage, that it doesn't really care about anything else, really. So, good stuff to see this doing well. Next up is our Rikka Sun Avalon deck. I'm so glad that Cactus Bouncer has found a place in the format. This is one of the coolest cards back from Ancient Yu-Gi-Oh! And the fact that he's getting the chance to see play is so cool. I also see the fact that we are on triple copies of the Loki. Wow, we're not even playing Unexpected Die in this. I just realized that. So we're going to hard search for Loki, either off of that or the 1-for-1 in order to capitalize and set up. Wow. And then we're on 1 Regulus, 2 Boreas, 1 Disc Coliseum for the package we've got going here. And of course, we are playing the Spider Orchid in here as well. So you can go ahead and punish the opponent. Yeah, that is actually, I would almost say it's so unconventional to not have Unexpected Die, but okay. Next up here is our next Kashtira deck. Today we were feeling a little bit daring, and we decided just to play 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird. I guess that they didn't want to worry about bulking down too much on the brick side of things. Kind of interesting, to say the least. Shifters for defensive options. I see that we are citing Gammas and Driver. The fact that we've opted to side these, so many other people I feel like disagree that you want to have these cards, you know, accessible in your main deck so you can apply pressure to your opponent so you can actually play the game. And they just don't want to play the mirror match. The fact that we are slapping in this many books is absurd to me. Actually, I think that this is kind of amazing. The fact that we're focusing on this heavy of defensive options for this deck. Okay. And next up here we have Eldritch. Okay. So keep in mind that if you're going to be playing Eldritch right now, you kind of have to, you have to have something a little bit more unique. And the thing that this deck chose to be unique was Gamma Seals, Lava Golems, and Sheer Modes. You have 7 main decked cards to hand to your opponent so that you can play the game. That is how absurd the current format level of power creep is, that a deck like this has to adapt to this level of toolboxery. I see that we're also pretty much floodgated out of our mind with Tisubu's Rivalries and Skill Drains. That's a lot to cover your bases for, honestly, but it's really just how the format has warped and actually kind of forced us to look at things at the moment. So I'm not surprised. You really shouldn't be either at this stage. And our last list here is another Rikka Sun Avalon. Now this is what we're a little bit more used to here, where you see Unexpected Dies showing back up into the format here so that you can, you know, get to Loki. I see we're not even, where's Regulus? He's down here in the side deck. We're just playing the Boreas in the main deck just because it's a free extender. Well, that's interesting. And then, of course, we are playing the Orchid and the Netria Rose Whip. All of these things, I guess this is also kind of cute. Cyber Dragon showing up here. Another one of those contactable outs. Okay. So what do you guys think about this interesting meta? Please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out.
Patrons!
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.